WrestleMania 40 is only a couple of weeks away, so I thought what we should do, because what else are we going to do, is actually look to the future and run through this card and kind of ponder to ourselves, my word, could this be one of the best WrestleManias of all time? Hashtag hyperbole. But seriously, because we do have someone like The Rock, who is a super duper megastar, instantly you know he's going to bring a certain magnitude to the thing. It's just true. It's like when Stone Cold Steve Austin was at WrestleMania, right? Everyone was like, oh my gosh, Stone Cold Steve Austin's at WrestleMania. And it was totally crazy and it was totally wild. And it's the same with The Rock, especially because his fingerprints are going to be all over the thing. Because we know the night one main event is going to be the Bloodline taking on Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. And if the Bloodline win, which they will do, because it'd be mad to do otherwise, they will be in a Bloodline rules match on Sunday, WrestleMania main event night 2, which is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. That's, of course, when you can have all the shenanigans and everything we have done over the last couple of years, or however long you want to spin it, can all come to a fruition. Maybe we have some kind of twist with The Rock. Maybe The Rock accidentally screws over Roman Reigns. You just don't know. But my point is this. You can get your amazing ending with Cody Rhodes holding the belt and everybody going, whoa. But you can also plant a bunch of seeds that make you go, well, I got to tune into Raw, because what is Roman going to say about this? What is Cody going to say about this? And what is next for The Rock? Maybe we set up Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Maybe we set up Cody Rhodes versus The Rock. We do not know. And even if the long-touted The Rock and Cody Rhodes are in cahoots thing plays off, it still means that WrestleMania 40 is going to end with The Rock against Roman Reigns. So, of course, you know that's definitely coming. And he's going to endorse or pass the torch, whatever the right phrase would be, to Cody Rhodes. And that is going to make you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. Now, given sometimes having a great main event can actually make the entire show feel better, the fact those two are bookended the thing, it could be brilliant just from that. However, as I do pick up my phone, because I've got all the matches here too, listen to what else we're going to do. Again, we'll start that tag match because it does bleed in. It's like the Ghostbusters. We're crossing the streams. We know that at some point on night 2, we're also getting Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Now, I said this in the video the other day. I'm going to say it here. My new nerd prediction is, given that everything that Drew is saying and given everything that Seth is saying, if we do not have it where the Bloodline come out after winning that tag match and screw over Seth Rollins, is to say, yeah, man, you got in our business and now we need revenge, meaning McIntyre wins that championship going against totally everything he said like a year or so ago. That is good storytelling. That is compelling. I've touched my phone and got rid of my notes. Now I have to get it all back. But that is absolutely brilliant. Like, it really is. And once again, it's going to make me go, well, now I need to hear what Drew is going to say come Raw, because he has become the biggest negative Nancy ever. So we're now 3 for 3 as far as I'm concerned. Now, it all comes down to the execution. Maybe it doesn't go exactly the way that we are intended. And you can be disappointed by that. We've seen it many times before. But the potential is there. And given that we are in hype mode right now, we're in preview mode, it just starts ticking all my boxes. And who the hell doesn't want their boxes ticked? You can then move a step down, if you want to call it that, in terms of where we rank our titles. But we have an Intercontinental Championship match between Gunther and Sami Zayn. Now, there's no way that match can be bad. Sami Zayn is too good and Gunther is too good. But obviously, over the last 600 days or so, Triple H and WWE and the Ring General himself has made sure that title has felt more special and more prestigious than maybe he has done is, I will say, 25 to 30 years, right? There have been so many times that thing has been put in the trash, like when for one point it just vanished. WWE just retired the thing, which is one of the craziest moments in all of professional wrestling. But now you have two people going at it, and I would say there's going to be a large part of some people that go, well, Gunther's not going to lose. He hasn't lost in ages. Whereas other people, myself included, are going to be like, well, Sami Zayn has to win because he didn't get his moment against Roman Reigns. As he himself said, he did have an amazing WrestleMania 39 when he won the tag titles. So now the time is to carry that on. He can be the guy to beat Gunther. Gunther can go on to the world title scene. But then the other nugget we've thrown in there is that Chad Gable now hates Sami Zayn because he feels like Sami stole his moment, which means I suppose he could do interference and cost Sami Zayn the Intercontinental title. But what's far better is having, ironically, your Money in the Bank and coming out the other side, once again on Raw or SmackDown, whoever the flub you want to do it, with Chad Gable going, oh, you won, did you, Sam? Well, now I want to beat you and I'm going to do it for my kid, whatever the hell he's going to say. You could even hint that Chad Gable is going to go heel. I'm not saying in a Vince Russo way. I'm just saying ever since he did start doing that on Raw, he has got a little bit more fire to him, a little bit more attitude. And if we are about to make him a serious wrestler, maybe we do need to do a 180 before we go back to being a good guy. I don't know. But again, when I look at it down here on my phone, it makes me go, oh man, I can't wait for that. And it's the same for Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch beat Nia Jax on Raw. We're done. We're finished. The final obstacle is done. That's why Rhea Ripley came out to do the face-to-face. And if it wasn't for all the other moving parts on this thing, if you told me that they were going to be in one of the main events, I wouldn't mind at all. I think people are underselling this. Rhea Ripley is a bona fide superstar who's only going to get bigger. I think she is going to become crazy, crazy large. We don't even know now. Whereas Becky Lynch is already that person. Like, every time she gets some negative Nancy thoughts thrown at her, she just goes out and has a banger, like she did in that last woman standing match, and she carries herself like a star. WWE sees her as a star, and what I think could be really exciting about this, or fun, whichever the right word is that Rhea Ripley does not have to lose. If Rhea Ripley beats Becky Lynch, then we get to the Backlash or SummerSlam, whatever, and that's where Lynch finally gets her win. People are going to look at Rhea Ripley once again and go, man, you have a storming year, you've whooped everybody's ass, and then on the show of shows when usually the bad guy, even though she's not a bad guy, loses their championship, you didn't, that's just going to put more wind in her sails. So anytime there is a belt attached to any of these matches, WWE has done something right. And it's the same with Bayley versus Io Sky. Now, I'll be the first to admit the momentum has died a little bit. It's not their fault. They haven't been featured in the way that I was half expecting. But there's still a long-term story here. And given all the other mad stuff we did with The Rock and Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, this is the one that's actually had the most longevity. And WWE's new favorite thing, which I'm a huge fan of, is trying to make sure that there is an action to every reaction, whatever it would be. So we know we're getting Io Sky versus Bayley. I think Bayley has to win that. She finally gets a WrestleMania moment, really deserved. But moving on to predicted matches that haven't been announced yet, and I'm worried about this because I think Asuka may have got hurt, so hopefully she is okay. But given what we're doing on the TV, I think Naomi and Bianca Belair are going to form a team to take on the Kabuki Warriors, but then that kind of leaves Dakota Kai outside of the room, hanging out playing Nintendo. So do you know what you can do? And I understand we need to do this soon, but hey, why overcook the pudding, I suppose. Jade Cargill could be brought in, and then you do all of Damage Control versus Naomi, Bianca, and Jade. Now, I don't see how the women's tag team titles can be defended, and I think that is a shame because I think you want to defend those things on WrestleMania because it gives it more gravitas and it gives it more important, but we do have 2 nights. So maybe we could do something like that, although really, I've got like a placeholder card here. There's no room for anything. But if all of a sudden that story does give us Io Sky and Bayley, and even gives us a tag team match or a 6-woman tag, that is cool because once again, we're just blending everything together and it makes WWE feel, you have to shoot me, this is a terrible thing to say, but I'm saying it anyway, like an organic playground. I know, what a loser, what an absolute geek, but it does, and it almost makes me believe, well, maybe these are real people. We'll stick with the titles as well because we're going to get the 6-pack ladder match challenge thingamajig, and I don't see how that can be bad either because it's just going to be crazy. I can't remember the last time I saw any ladder match in wrestling, be it WWE or AEW, top level wrestling, whatever the hell we want to call it, that didn't have a good ladder match. And look at the people in it. As of me talking, it's the Judgment Day, it's the Miz and R-Truth, it's DIY, and it's the New Day, and I think that's everybody. There may be some other people I've forgotten about. If we throw a Pete Dunne and a Tyler Bate in there and whoever else, of course they're going to go nuts. And we'll keep talking about this. I'm so boring. The finish is probably going to be a Raw team grabs 1 belt, a SmackDown team grabs another belt. And while I'm not a big advocate for that, because I like having 1 championship per roster, I suppose, whatever the right word would be, or per company, it does mean, once again, you're going to have a talking point moving into what's going to happen on Raw or SmackDown. And I actually think when you do have that continuous thread, it makes things more interesting. So that's another smash, as is Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens for the United States title. Now, a small part of me is like, are we doing a 3-way? Because Logan Paul is going to keep his championship, and maybe Randy and Kevin Owens feud coming out the other side. But that, to me, could be a dark horse, I suppose. Logan Paul always exceeds expectations. Randy Orton is one of the best to ever do it, and I'm saying it, I've said it before, I have no problem saying it, so is Kevin Owens. If you actually go through a checklist of what a professional wrestler should bring to the table, that guy ticks every single box, and he's probably going to do something crazy. Logan Paul is probably going to do something crazy. Randy Orton being like, no, I'm not doing anything crazy, but he's so damn good at the small stuff, it doesn't matter still. I suppose you could do a title change there. Maybe Randy Orton could become the US champion, but you have star power in it, and maybe it doesn't have the wackaroo factor of some of the other matches on there. And we still have time to build it, of course, but I think when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of it and the match quality, I think it's going to be fantastic. So again, if you do stick it in the middle of a night 1 or night 2, you're going to have the momentum. You're going to have that fun time. You're going to have that good feeling in your Tootsie Toes, which is also the same. You see what we're doing here. Brother versus brother, Jimmy versus Jay. Obviously, that ties into the bloodline stuff too, so we can have this story that just runs throughout WrestleMania. I can't believe, after everything they have done over the last 12 years or so, whenever the hell they debuted, the fact that they've got here, they've probably been dreaming about this since the day where they were born, which is a wild exaggeration. It's just going to be good. It just is. That's what I believe, and I ain't saying anything else. Which leaves us with LA Knight versus AJ Styles. I do admit this is a little bit of an outlier. It's a little bit strange, just because the build isn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's still good, but I totally believe that those two guys are of such a level that they will give us a good WrestleMania match. My only worry is I also thought this about AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, and it certainly wasn't bad, but there was something missing from it, which was the same with Edge versus AJ Styles, which also happened at WrestleMania. I think sometimes the problem with WrestleMania is we get our expectations so high that if we don't get amazing, it's like, oh man, I can't believe it. But obviously you need peaks and valleys. Ironically, coming from me, you need ups and downs. Otherwise, it doesn't work anyway. But am I mad that AJ versus LA Knight is on this show? No, especially because it's the battle of the shortened first names. I'd be mad too. If my name was Cy and then AJ or LA walked in, I'd be like, excuse me, the gimmick is taken. There are some other matches we could get to, although again, I think it'd be difficult to try and fit them in. But I know Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar. I'm recording it before SmackDown on the 22nd or whatever it is. That's going down. I do think that will probably be a WrestleMania match, or Legado del Fantasma versus the LWO. We probably need to wrap that up eventually because the feud that keeps on going, which ironically is the same for Karrion Kross's crew versus Bobby Lashley crew. But somebody said this to me the other day. Do I think we get that on WrestleMania? And probably, maybe. It depends if we're doing an Andre the Giant Battle Royal or whatever other gimmicks WWE may want to do. But they are two group faction warfares that maybe haven't sort of clicked in the way that we wanted. But it's also a good justification to do them at WrestleMania, peak them there, have one team win, have one team lose, and then head off in a different direction. Because again, there's always, I don't want to say somewhat of a downturn post-WrestleMania. I think WWE does far better than that these days. But you need people in certain places where we can go, oh, new story here, new narrative here, new tale here. And there's so many people in all of those groups, you may be able to utilize them that way. And of course, we don't know if we're going to call some people up from NXT as well. But that's the card as we know it. There may be some other things that we don't know, obviously, because we still do have a couple of weeks. But yeah, gun to my head, do I think this is going to be one of the better WrestleManias of all time? I do. And this also comes from a man that just basically watched every single episode of WrestleMania, because we did an ups and downs show for it as well. I gave one up and one down for every single WrestleMania entry. And look, I don't want to be that guy. Some WrestleManias are terrible. Now, even in comparison to that, I think this will be good, even when you do compare it to the best ones. And if we get the ending right on night one, and we get the ending right on night two, meaning again, you can kind of connect them, I think it could be fantastic. I'm blessed enough to be there, and I'm very, very excited. And I suppose in recent memory, my favorite things from WrestleMania have been the Cody Rhodes coming back and everything we did with Austin that weekend as well. So when it does come to the two-night WrestleManias, I still think this has all the potential in the world to stand tall. But as always, we wait and see. It could be absolute gubbins, which also works for me, because I can make a video about it. Now, of course, the most important thing is your opinion. There's a comment box down there. Let me know, am I talking sense or am I talking absolute nonsense? Click the bell, ding, ding, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And please do click the video. That would rock. Otherwise, it is grillermind.com/Simon. You just go to Simon to get 10% off. Patreon.com/Simon316. Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. Simon Miller on Cameo. And merchandise. Pro wrestling tees, Samson Athletics. As I always say, just click things in the description and see if it takes your fancy. But what I appreciate the most is your time. Never forget, Goofy Wrestling for life. I mean this. This ain't just a slogan, man. Goofy Wrestling makes me happier than anything in the world. And as always, of course, it makes me a nerd, but my word, am I proud to be a geek. Take care, my friends. I appreciate you. Goodbye.